Welcome to Secrets of Stand-Up Comedy. I'm Richard Francis Williams. I'm sick. Can you hear it in my voice? I'm probably exaggerating it a little bit for effect, but let me start by explaining what the channel is, because after my big performance at the open mic, first I figured out the math finally. I get so bad at it. I'm getting old, I can tell, because I'm worried about dates and being accurate with years. Was it in 2002? Or no, 2003. So it's probably been 28 years since I went to an open mic with nothing but brand new material, back when I was starting out. And yeah, it was a weird experience. And so I got probably 3 new subscribers. Nothing but up from here. So I want to explain to you what the channel's about. I'm another comic, just like you. I've done a bunch of things. I've had a lot of accomplishments. I've had my struggles. I've had head-scratching decisions that I've made in my career as well. Then I got this rare balance disorder, and now it's me. The first half, or the first section, the first 100 videos of this channel was me giving you as much advice or wisdom I had about stand-up comedy that you might not get anywhere else. It's also a different approach to stand-up than some of the traditional people talking about this. Then I made the change where I'm still doing that, but it's showing me getting back into stand-up comedy and telling you more about my life, where I'm at, so that you can see where I'm starting and eventually where I'll get to, which may only be this much of a jump. I'm hoping that it's going to be like off the charts. That's what this channel is all about. I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit the notification bell so that you'll be updated. I make a video every single day. I like doing this. It helped bring me out of my depression, and it keeps the momentum going, because there's a lot of things I'm changing about my life. Now, let's get to the open mic that I did. And I don't want to go through it too much, because in the end, all of the buildup that led up to it, I was really feeling that, but I don't want to act like I cured cancer or something. All I did was go to a place that I've been to a bunch of times in the past that I haven't been to in a while. I stood on stage and I talked, and people laughed at some of it. They didn't laugh at other parts. I was very happy with the response. But that's something I can't control as much as I'd like to. Excuse me. So I want to take you through it. Going there, as I said in the previous video, I was worried about my van. And I was probably overly sensitive to every little feeling that the van had. I'm like, is the transmission slipping? That's what I'm worried about. Not that I can't start it. I know there's a fuel pump issue, but I'm worried about the transmission. Because if that goes, it's inoperable. And then I'm stuck. And when you're living like I'm living right now, one thing like that could really take you under. But I won't let it, because, I've faced more challenging things in my life. But it's hard to recover when you suddenly lose your vehicle, especially when you're trying to do stand-up in a small town. It's probably good that I was focused on that, because I wasn't as worried about the open mic. But I wish I had more time to... That's what I would usually do when I'm doing new material. I perform in my car or my van, whatever I'm driving, on the way to the gig. And as I'm doing that, I'll think of tags, and I say it all out loud. There's one benefit to saying it in your head, but it's way better if you perform it out loud when you're driving to the gig. It's a way of rehearsing where you're focused both on driving and it's just coming out of you. So it frees you up in a way for your subconscious mind to go through. It knows what you're going to say, but then you can have some other flashes of creativity. When I got there, there's nobody else there except for me. And I liked that because I went on stage. These are the things I did correctly. I went on stage and I showed it to you. I visualized me doing real well. I got comfortable on stage. The biggest fear is the fear of the unknown. So once I was able to do that, I felt a lot better. I have to cough again. Hold on. Excuse me. That was very helpful to me. One of the other things I did, I'm not going to intercut the video because it's late, and I'll tell you what I've been doing all day. If you go back and watch it, me rehearsing on stage, I put the mic stand, I raised it as high as it would go, and I dipped the mic down like this, and I was poking down, going up, and then going back down. I was thinking about performing like that, pretending I was shy and a real weird person on stage. So I'd sit there with my note cards, and then when I have a thought, go up, say the joke or do the bit, and then go back down. So that after I do that a few times, I could create the tension of starting to go up and then going, no. I'm throwing the note card away. That's what even though I didn't do that, I did things like that. Me going up on stage and not saying, hey, how's everybody doing? Keep it going for your host. Keep it going for the other comics who went up before me. I didn't want to do any of that traditional stuff that comics do. I wanted to go up there with the crazy looking beard, the jacket with the collar up, the scarf. I wanted to look a certain way, and I wanted to be interesting. That's one of the things that's very important when you're doing stand-up comedy. Be watchable. If I went up there like every other comic, hey, all right, one more time for this person and get cheap applause, there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't stand out. So the next point, the way I delivered the material, all of that was very intentional because the jokes weren't necessarily killer. When I came up with I had 11 note cards, I think. There were a couple that I really liked, but then others were like, I'm going to have to really sell this. I'm going to have to put all my confidence and bravado behind these to make them work. And that's what I did, because you can sell a mediocre joke with your performance. That's why I did the build-up about the rumor being spread about me. I'm not here seeking vengeance. Like, what does that mean? That perks the audience up. Like, what is he talking about? It's like in a movie. One of the things I learned in screenwriting was you want to start the scene halfway through of the action. You don't necessarily want a straight beginning, middle, and end for a scene. You want to show the viewer like it's already in the middle. And so I was approaching it like I was in the middle of a conversation, even though I started with, I haven't been here in a while. Then I got right to, like, there's some kind of controversy going on. Again, being interesting on stage, both in how I looked, how I performed, and what I was saying. Because I saw a couple of people, like, they were looking around when I went on stage. I also did not, and I'm very happy about this, but it was intentional. I purposely didn't do it. I didn't tell the host any credits because I didn't want the audience to judge me based on credits. The audience doesn't care if you're funny. The audience doesn't care about your credits if you are funny. And also, I don't know the host. I don't know that anybody was doing that, and I was the first person there. So I didn't want to say, hey, can you tell them that I did this and this and this? Because it doesn't matter what I've done. It's an open mic. And I didn't want special treatment or anything like that. And I didn't have a good read on the host. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, he does a great job running that mic. But I don't know him. Who am I to come in there and go, hey, I want to do this and this and this? I also, something that I've stressed on this channel, I never apologized for anything, and I never said it was new material. I didn't take any of the pressure off of myself. I didn't make excuses. I apologized in a different way as part of a joke. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I get worked up about Carly Simon. I wish with that joke that this is how detailed I am. I was mad watching it back that I said two-time Grammy nominee. She won 2 Grammys. She's been nominated 14 times. And with that joke, I also, if I do it again, I'm going to change some things because it wasn't as clear. She wrote that song in 1971, and there was a partial eclipse in 1971. It was in August 20th. That's when they run those races at Saratoga. I live near Saratoga. That's the name of my eBay store, Saratoga Vintage. And so I wanted to tie that in more. I should have maybe sang the lyrics a bit because it's along the lines of you had a horse race in Saratoga and naturally it won. And then later that day, I forget the lyrics, but later on that same day, this mystery celebrity man flew his Learjet to Nova Scotia to see a total eclipse of the sun. So I needed to spell that out a little bit more. The audience still got it, and I'm debating as to whether or not I should have mentioned the title of the song first. They still got it because it's such a famous song. You're So Vain, you probably think the song is about you. But that's one thing. I also should have I wish I would have paused between there's a rumor going around that I have a big dick, pause, and I want it stopped now. Because the punchline is, there's the first punchline that there's this positive rumor going around. That's the reveal that the rumor is actually positive. The bigger punchline to me is the idea that this cannot stand. I am deeply offended by it. And I was going to add at the end of it, thank you, everybody. That was my character I've been working on called the guy who starts his own positive rumors and then tries to spread them. But I didn't want to do that part because that delivery method of saying I've been working on a character has been done quite a bit. So that's why I went away from that. There's probably a way to do that I just didn't think of in time. And I still can't think of right now. The thing that it was surprising to me in the moment, but not surprising when I look back on how I have worked in new material at open mics. I would do strong material that I had been doing forever. Then I would work in new material and then usually end on something that I had done forever. I didn't need the note cards in the beginning. The first 3 jokes, I just knew them. Because this is what will help by using note cards. I shuffled them around to create the set list. I laid them all out and I looked for things that were similar. And I may have jumped around and not utilized that exactly right to have a consistent flow, but trying to find my therapist's Twitter handle, I could have I did the gender thing next, the pronouns, and my aunt calling me Rick, which is a true story, by the way. She's literally called me Rick for the last probably 20 years. It's because her former son-in-law, his name's Rick, and she has a grandson named Rick, and she's like 80. So it's not malicious on her part, but I was going to add to that joke, like, hey, you've known me since before I was born. Let's get it together, old lady. But where was I going with that? Oh, I could have done the transition of, here's who needs therapists. I see these kids on TikTok, but I don't like segues. So if they flow together, they flow together. If not, they don't. I let the audience make that leap. Excuse me. I'm not faking my cold, by the way. Then the other thing that was interesting with the note cards was you could see I was shuffling them. I kept shuffling them, and that was another thing I was doing just to make it more interesting for the audience. I couldn't see what was on them as quickly as I was shuffling them. And then I'd pull one out and slide it back in. And it was just another thing to kind of create an overall vibe. Like, what is this guy doing? He's talking, but he's got these note cards, and he's not really looking at them, and he keeps shuffling through them. So those were some of the tricks that I was doing on stage. What was different for me is when I got back into comedy in like 2015, I took a few years off when I moved back to my hometown. Then I went through a breakup, and that kickstarted me going back into it because I had a brand new 5 minutes from that relationship. I would sit on the stool because of the balance disorder, and also I was trying to be more conversational. And then apparently a lot of comics sit on the stool, and so I didn't want to do that. I've never just stood there with a mic in the mic stand. I've always taken the mic out. So that was totally different for me. So those two things were quite a bit different, but it felt natural. I mean, when you've been doing stand-up this long, going on stage, you feel home. You feel like, okay, this is my environment. That's why I wanted to do it before the show started, because I immediately got that feeling like, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. So that was interesting for me. And that's something I recommend you try out. I didn't go to the open mic tonight, Friday night in Saratoga, because my van, I can't get stuck 45 minutes away from here and call AAA. I don't know what that's going to cost. I don't know if they cover all of that. But my plan for that was I was going to do the same jokes, and I might do this at the next open mic. I got to figure all this stuff out, but deliver it in a totally different manner. You know, maybe doing that mic thing. Pause. I shouldn't be doing that part. But I was going to do it as if I was really shy. Like that first joke. I'm glum. Right, Willie, we're glum tonight. We're the target of a bully campaign. And I don't like it. I don't think it's fair because somebody's been spreading a rumor about me that I have a really big dick. And I want it to stop now. It's hurtful. Why are you telling people stuff like that? You've never seen my Peter? It's just a different way. If the material is solid, and that's not the best joke in the world. All right, Willie, go eat your chewy bones. If the material is solid and you're confident in it, you can perform it a number of different ways. It will work. And some ways it will work better. I had some different notes of my performance in there. Like the first one was very kind of aggressive. And then later on, I'm laughing. It's interesting because I was nervous on stage when I first went up there, and I'm like, I'm going to kind of stare them down. But then I give a smile, I break character, I'm like to the left side of the audience. And I think that loosened them up. And so the people in the middle would see that too. But the people on the right-hand side, they couldn't see that. And they still laughed. And that was where the majority of the crowd was. You'll also notice that I performed for all three parts of the audience, the left, the middle, and the right. That's really important. Go back and watch on your tapes if you play to one side too much. Usually it's whatever your dominant hand is, you play to your right. I'm right-handed, so it's natural to turn that way. You want to make sure that you're not turning your back on one side the whole time, because then they don't get to see all your facial expressions. And the way the stage was set up, it was weird because people were sitting behind me. So I tried to back up as much as I could, but there were some comics right on the edge of the stage when they were performing. And I'm like, they're not cognizant of this. They don't realize that these people on both sides, they're missing out on all the expressions. It's like they got horrible seats at the stadium. So you want to make sure that you give everybody their money's worth. And I think that pretty much covers it. I don't ever feel the need to end on a really strong closing bit. I just chose that last one because I got the light and I knew it was quick. The harmonica and tap dancing. I think if you do a really solid set, you could end at any moment. I've even said on stage, hey, look, I don't hold back. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's nice to go out on a huge, huge laugh, but it's not necessary. You don't have to sweat that. If you give them a great half an hour, there doesn't have to be this grand finale. It's optimal, but don't get too worked up about it. Hey, Willie, I want to thank you too. Everybody was great about watching it, the anticipation, the comments. I really appreciate it because it makes me feel like I'm not just doing this to crank myself off for my own ego or whatever. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And for the people that I couldn't get back to right away, it's because I needed to focus. I was in the Discord earlier in the day before the open mic, and they were busting my balls, and I'm like, okay, I can't. I'm too fragile right now to allow any, because what I want to do is defend certain things. And I'm like, I can't, they're just joking around with me. I can't get involved in this. So I just got off of there. And then I went back on there today, and this is the mean Discord. There's two Discords. This is the meaner one where they're harsh, which I like both of them. But they were so pissed off because they were like waiting for this to come up, because comics want to see each other bomb a lot of times. And I don't know if they actually wanted to see me bomb, but they're like, oh, he's doing this long 7-minute intro before he just shows the set. Oh, now he's getting in his van. Oh, now he's walking up to the venue. It made me laugh reading all those messages that they were saying back and forth to each other. So yeah, thanks again. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I didn't chicken out. I knew that I wouldn't, but I was nervous when I realized, oh, I might be putting up a horrible video. And the video wasn't great. I mean, because I had it mic'd right here, you can tell when you go back and watch it, the host, you can't hear him introduce me that well because the mic is right here on me. If I just put the mic in the middle of the room, I could have turned the audio up. You would have heard the host, me, and the laughter. And I'm not trying to say, oh, I was killing. I'm just saying they were laughing more than it sounded like. So when you're recording something, keep that in mind. So maybe next time I'll leave this part of the mic near the camera or somewhere in the room where it picks up the audio from me, but also from the crowd. Because I wouldn't put that on TikTok or YouTube or anything just normally. I only did it for this channel. All right. So where am I at? First of all, I have to get rid of this cold. Just the struggles of trying to survive nowadays. I went to the bank to see if I can get a home equity loan to pay for a vehicle because I can't deal with a vehicle not working. What am I going to walk, ride a bike? I'm filling out all the paperwork, and I need to have work done here at the house. So he's pulling my credit. My credit was way lower than the last time I tried to do this, and which shocked me. And he goes, "Oh, we have some really late payments on your mortgage." And I said, "Well, from when?" And normally I would have just shut down right then and just, okay, because of pride, embarrassment. And I wanted to tell them, like, oh, yeah, I was a big TV writer, and, like, to make up for my bad credit. Like, it was the main guy and then a trainee. Excuse me. But I didn't do that because I'm like, who cares? I don't know why I'm trying to impress these people or save face because of my bad financial decisions. So I asked him the dates, and he told me 2022. And I said, no, what happened was I got a forbearance during COVID where they bundled all those payments during that time into a lump sum at the end of my mortgage. I took care of that, and they said it wasn't going to affect my credit. And that was in 2021. He said, well, it's here in 2022, and that could be a death knell for you. I said, well, what if I clear it up with the bank? So he's like, yeah, if you can, like, if you have a letter for this forbearance, that will definitely help before we send it in. So I'm like, all right, well, can they print it out at their branch? He said, I don't know, it's worth a shot. So I leave the one bank, I go all the way to the other bank, and I'm asking this guy, and he said, well, we do have some late payments. You've been charged some fees. I said, yeah, but they're like within the grace period, or maybe a couple days over, because I get a check once a month. And he said, oh, yeah, well, none of this should be on your credit report. I said, well, why am I having this stuff? Excuse me again. Pardon me. And he says, yeah, I don't have any late payments from that point forward for all of 22 and all of 23. Because when I got the forbearance, I got back up to date with my payments. And I said, all right, well, can you print that stuff out? And I needed some other paperwork from him, what my mortgage was, that I'm up to date. I'm paying my taxes through my escrow. I go drive back to the first bank. I give it to him, and I say, can you check the dates again? Because I think it's from 2021, and here's the paperwork. And he goes, no, it says that you were 30-day delinquent 8 times, 60-day like 6 times, and 90 days delinquent 4 times. And I said, well, if that was true, they would have taken my house. He said, yeah, but it takes a while. I go, no. 4 different times in 2022, May, I was 3 months late 4 different times. How is that? They would have taken my house. So I explained again what happened with the forbearance, and he said, well, you have to get it taken off your credit report. Like, oh, great. I drive back to the original bank, and I have my credit report. I said, can you print it out with the dates and all that stuff and highlight it? So I have that packet now. I go back there, and the guy I was dealing with that was so nice was not there. And I was dealing with this woman who was a bitch. And she was not really eager to help me. She was kind of pushing back on things. And I'm like, well, I'm your customer. My mortgage is through you. You're probably bored with this story, but I don't care. Click off. And so I said, well, he said, if you can write a letter, explain this. We can't issue letters from this bank. I said, okay, is there a credit manager? He said, they could. Well, you have to call this number and call this number. And you do have late fees from things. I go, yeah, but they weren't a month over. She goes, yeah, well. So I just said, okay, just give me the numbers. I'll take off. I call them. They're filling out credit dispute for those charges. If I get those taken off, my credit will be way higher. And I should be able to easily get a home equity loan because I have probably $150,000 in equity in my house. But I can't tap into it if my credit report shows that I was late on a mortgage. Why would they give me effectively a second mortgage? So right now I'm stuck. And Key Bank, when I talked to them, and they got the information wrong, when she filled out, the person on the phone filled out a dispute for me. And she said, yeah, so just to go through it, we're disputing those charges. I go, no, I'm not. It's not about charges. It's about the forbearance, and I shouldn't have been over. Oh, okay. I said, is there another number that I can talk to somebody as well in addition to this? She goes, yes. And, she didn't really know what was going on, but it could take up to 30 days to get a letter back from them to try to take care of this. So what I have to do, Willie, 5 more minutes. What I have to do is get it off my credit report, but I have to wait 30 days. So in the meantime, I'm not going to be driving all over the place because I don't want to be stuck. And if they don't get it off my credit, I may not be able to get a loan for a vehicle. Then what do I do? So in the meantime, I'm still going to be making these videos. I might focus on starting to build a second channel of me releasing funny things and TikToks and stuff like that. I can do it from the studio like Steely Dan or the Beatles in later years. I'm not comparing myself to them, but you get the picture. And just trying to make as much money as I can. Because if I have to buy a vehicle with cash, the only way I can do that is by generating extra money. And it's not a great time to do that. eBay's dead. I might do mentoring for comics. I'm not sure because I'm doing it for one of you out there watching this, and you're great, by the way, and I appreciate you contacting me about it. I was reluctant to do it at first, but I think it's working out. Where I go through, and it's like one-on-one advice, particular to him, and also punching up material, and I think that's a real benefit. That's what I used to do for tons of comics. I used to punch up their material and give them jokes. So, yeah, I might do that. If that's something you're interested in, send me a message. But I'm trying to juggle all this stuff, and it ain't easy. But like I always say, show me an excuse, I'll show you a loser. The only person who's going to take care of this is me. I have to do this. So bitching about it's not going to get it done. I have to figure it out. I have to put in the work. Just like getting to the open mic, just like writing jokes and rehearsing as much as I could while I'm doing everything else. And so if you're going through something right now, if you're struggling, realize that you're not a victim of circumstance, no matter what it is. If you look at it like that, yeah, I could blame Key Bank. I shouldn't have given the name. I could blame the bank, but that's not going to change my situation. I have to sort through it. And if that route doesn't work, I have to generate as much money as I can to buy something relatively decent so I can get to gigs. And you can do that too. Focus on the solution. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, how do I move forward? How do I conquer this? How do I overcome this obstacle? All right, that's it for this episode. I will be uploading more of the old episodes to the podcast. You know, if you're watching this, maybe the podcast will be helpful. You can listen while you're working out or playing your video games or whatever it is you dorks do. But if not, you don't have to, do whatever works for you. I'm here to help you. You don't have to help me. All right? But you have helped me, and I do appreciate it. All right. I got to go tend to Willie now. Bye.